What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. BC coming at you with the SmackDown 10/11/24 preview. This is the first SmackDown show post Bad Blood. I know it seems like that PLE was an eternity ago, but it was actually just this past Saturday. So this is the first time the Blue Brand gets to get us interested into anything they have planned for Crown Jewel, and subsequently a few weeks later, Survivor Series. So this is a very important Bad Blood. I will give you a teaser before we get to this preview. Roman Reigns is advertised. And I'm going to tell you the one thing he has to do tonight. Has to. There's no ands, ifs, buts about it. This dude has to talk this one subject tonight, or it's a complete failure. We'll talk about it when we go over this preview. We're going to talk Alexa Bliss. She has confirmed her future. She has given a statement, and BC has a date where I do believe you are going to see Alexa Bliss return to WWE, but she has confirmed her future. We'll talk about that as well. And we're also going to talk Hunter Hearst Helmsley, WWE receiving a lot of backlash over lack of diversity on their PLEs. So all of this and more coming up in today's Amped upload, and we do it right now. And before we get into today's Amped upload, a big shout out to two amplified subscribers, Kels S1K, and not just channel subscriber, but channel member, Ron C23. Both for those super thanks super chats in yesterday's upload. That was the WWE AEW upload, or should I say NXT AEW, and the ratings that they pulled, the numbers they pulled this past Tuesday night head to head. That was a wild upload. Never would I think I'd be having that conversation with those type of numbers. So you guys really rocked out that upload. That was so interesting to create that upload, and it looks like you guys found that very, very eye-opening as well. It was a really good discussion, over 20 minutes long. And in that upload, again, as I said, Kels S1K with a good mindset as well. Good add-on to that conversation and maybe the motive behind AEW. So Kels, I appreciate that. And Ron C23, I'm not going to do the woo, but your girl Charlie Flair, man, her return is imminent. I do feel they're going to throw her into something with Nia Jax, Queen versus Queen with the title on the line. I don't know how they add in the MITB briefcase holder, Tiffany Stratton, or if she would even be involved somehow. But Charlie Flair, man, her return is imminent. Ron C23 and Kels, I appreciate the coffees, man. Never needed, always appreciated. Speaking of returns, and with the females, not just Charlie Flair, another big return is on the horizon. And that is Alexa Bliss. A lot of questions since November 2023, basically. A lot of questions. Where's Alexa Bliss? Is she returning? Has she just decided to call it quits? Some of these ladies, they have kids, and they say, you know what? My priorities have changed. I'm done. A lot of them had plans to come back and said, I'm done. Some of them have kids and they return. Some it takes a while. Some they're right back at it, like Becky Lynch. But some like Trish Stratus, they just pretty much call it a quits. Maybe years down the road, they come back here and there. But Alexa Bliss, man, when she did not come back for SummerSlam, which was in her backyard, basically, of Ohio, a lot of fans were like, maybe Alexa's not going to come back. And then the Wyatt Six, they debut, and there's no Alexa Bliss. And so fans were like, man, are you even coming back? Well, Alexa Bliss has given this 5-word statement confirming her future. Alexa Bliss recently put, and I quote, "Yes, I will be returning." Short but sweet, right? That's all everybody was looking for. She coming back or not? Or is this going to be one of those things where it's 5 years down the road? Guys, BC has a date in mind. This is all, seems to be anyway, leading. Whether WWE is pushing for this or Alexa has this as a goal, but it's looking to be Royal Rumble 2025. There is no reason to bring Alexa back at Crown Jewel, obviously. And Survivor Series to set something up for Rumble just seems odd to me, when you have so many other areas of the women's division that needs attention. To bring back Alexa into the fold when you can barely book the women you have right now properly, let's give Alexa the proper care and attention and time that is needed upon her return to really spark interest in what she's doing when she does return. Hopefully that makes sense. That might be asking too much. But Alexa Bliss, it seems to me like Royal Rumble is the prime date. Now, I'm not saying Alexa shows up and wins the thing, but a pretty dominant performance. More than anything, you spark a feud during that Rumble match. Something happens where you're like, oh, that's going to be Alexa's first feud. Whether that stretches to Mania or not depends on how much time they want to give this story. But that's future booking. I don't want to go too far into that and confuse people, because then it sounds really good and we start to look forward to something that's not even happening. So, Alexa Bliss, let's just keep what we know now. She was asked, and this time she broke her silence. Yes, I will be returning. But it's the end of the year already, man. A few weeks from Crown Jewel, which starts, that's it. That's the end of the year, right? Survivor Series, and then everybody pretty much packs it up for December. And starting in January, we start WrestleMania season. I think that's the prime time to bring back Alexa Bliss. I, for one, can't wait to see her. I thought she was really hitting her stride when she was with Bray Wyatt. She really found herself, found that identity, found that confidence that she had been lacking. So, looking forward to seeing Alexa Bliss in whatever realm she comes back. Now, that's more questions, though, right? Does Alexa come back and do her own thing as just Alexa Bliss? Or would you guys bring her back a little bit more of a twisted Bliss? Maybe something involved with the Wyatt Six. Eye of the beholder, I guess. The only one that matters is the one with the magic pen. That's Hunter Hearst Helmsley. We shall see. Alexa Bliss. Yes, I will be returning. Let's stick with WWE. Let's just go to the SmackDown preview for tonight, man. By the time you guys catch this upload, it'll be hours before the big SmackDown. And this is a big SmackDown. Again, post Bad Blood and the first SmackDown right before Crown Jewel. And there's only a few weeks before Crown Jewel, by the way. What are we looking at? 1, 2, 3. 3 SmackDowns. Including tonight, there's only 3 SmackDowns, and then we are at Crown Jewel. So there's not a lot of time to build this up. So I know all their focus is going to be on this weird Crown Jewel championship. Champion versus champion for the dudes, champion versus champion for the ladies, and then they'll throw in a couple 2-3 other matchups that don't really have a lot of steam, I'm guessing. But they're going to hold this whole event on those 2 matchups. They can't do that. The Blue Brand has to produce something really fun and intriguing for us to sink our teeth into to get us over to Crown Jewel. Will they do that? Let's see what this card holds. The first big talking point, the biggest main event spot for BC isn't even a match. It's Roman Reigns advertised for tonight's event. This has to happen. After everything that happened at Bad Blood, with Cody Rhodes, the mutual respect, fending off all of the bloodline, Jimmy Uso returned, and The Rock returned. So Roman, yeah, he's got to show up. How are they going to further this Cody Rhodes thing along, right? I mean, at this point, most of us just want to see them separated. But you're most likely going to see Cody and Roman in the same ring tonight. How do we keep this going without it losing steam if it hasn't already? But the bigger aspect that Roman has to touch up on tonight is The Rock. In his promo, he has to talk Dwayne Johnson. This is a dude that ended the entire PLE last Saturday. The Rock. The Rock looked right at Roman Reigns. Did the countdown, did the throw thing, did all of that to Roman Reigns and Cody, but Roman was standing side by side. If Roman comes out and doesn't even acknowledge that, then that's a failed, missed opportunity tonight. You got to further this along. I don't think we're going to see The Rock till bare minimum Survivor Series, but you paraded The Rock out there last Saturday. He's part of the storyline again. Otherwise, it's going to be the boy that cried wolf. Every time The Rock shows up, we're just going to go, oh, The Rock, forget it. This isn't going to lead to anything until he's actually there for several weeks at a time, consistently. Hopefully that makes sense, man. There's no way that they cannot bring up The Rock tonight, man. They have to have a story in place, with or without The Rock. He showed up last Saturday. Now it's got to be utilized. So Roman has to mention The Rock tonight. We have to have some type of clarity in this whole sea of gray that is currently painted. On top of that, match-wise, the big matchup tonight is going to be for the U.S. Championship. LA Knight defending against Melo. I don't know what they're doing with Melo, right? Melo's in this weird best of 815 series with Andrade. Then he's kind of got his hand in a cookie jar with AJ Styles. Then he's got another hand in the other cookie jar with LA Knight. I mean, they just have Melo involved with everything, but nothing at the same time. Right? Instead of doing one feud really good, they got him in many feuds very mid. So it's going to be interesting to see, I guess, how they pull off this finish, because there's no way Melo's winning the title tonight in the middle of a SmackDown. Or at least that should not be happening. You cannot do LA Knight that dirty. And then there's another title match tonight. Very odd, but if you saw Tuesday night's NXT, you see how this developed, at least. That's Belair and Cargill defending their tag titles against Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend from NXT. This is going to give some shine to the NXT stars. I don't know how this is a title match. If you saw Tuesday, more importantly, if you saw BC's review of NXT, which I put up the next day, I did an NXT AEW special upload for the channel. And you guys know how much I raved about that Belair, Cargill, Kalani, Jordan 6-woman tag. Kalani Jordan is just the star of today. Forget the future. And Belair and Cargill had their best match together this past Tuesday. And it was a 6-person schmoz. Go figure. But if they can carry that momentum to Friday night, I don't know. It's all about your dancing partners, too. Can Jackson and Legend help them go to that next level? Or is Belair and Cargill going to have to dumb it down a little bit? We'll see. We'll see. This is a big moment for Legend and Jackson, I'll tell you that much. On the big stage, Friday night, USA Network. And if you're wondering, this is going to emanate from Greenville, South Carolina, again, on the USA Network. So that's the big talking points for SmackDown tonight. We'll see how they fill in the rest of the show. I'm guessing the Bloodline will be inserted somehow. They'll insert Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Hopefully something for the women. You have to have something catapulted from last week's dumpster match with Chelsea Green and Michin. Something for both of them. Whether you're going to continue this within themselves or they each have something different. But Chelsea has earned, after what she went through last week, she has earned a prominent place on this show tonight. So we'll see. Michin as well. But Chelsea Green, she went and did the deed for Michin and for that company. Powerbomb through a table and into a dumpster. Getting out of that dumpster with SpaghettiOs coming down her hair and ramen noodles on her face. Yeah, I think we can give Chelsea something pretty damn cool. So that's going to be SmackDown tonight. BC will be with you tomorrow morning. Make sure you're subscribed, notified, press all the things down below. You guys will know when BC has that review for SmackDown. I'm not pulling any punches, no mulligans. SmackDown has to bring it tonight, and BC's going to be reviewing it tomorrow morning. So make sure you guys are locked on the channel. And before we wrap up this upload, a story that has a little bit of a deeper conversation attached to it, but we're going to put on our big boy pants and we're going to have it anyway. And it has to do with WWE under fire for lack of diversity. Hunter Hearst Helmsley receiving backlash for not having enough black representation on his PLEs. And not in totality, because, for instance, you just had Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair as hosts, most likely because that was in Atlanta. So they put up Jade and Bianca as hosts. But as far as in-ring, talent-wise, matchup-wise, what sparked this conversation was a lot of people feeling that this is the third straight PLE in a row that didn't have black representation. Or maybe representation in totality. I didn't go back. I don't rate every match by race. So I'm just going by what sparked the conversation. So not enough representation on the PLEs, basically, guys, is what WWE came under fire for. And Hunter Hearst Helmsley received a lot of backlash, to the point where Hunter, to his credit, he did answer these concerns. Not just question, but more so concerns. And I want to give you that quote, and I want to do it word for word. So I'm not misconstruing this. So this is what Hunter said. This is an exact quote on those concerned with the lack of diversity on the PLEs. Hunter says, I don't see the difference in anybody. I don't see the color. I don't see the nationality. I don't see any of it. I just see talent. I don't see the difference between men and women. I just see talent. We tell stories with those talents, how they can handle those stories, how they can represent those stories, and how we can bring those stories forward. I don't keep track of any of that. I do what's relevant and what's best, the best storytelling, and what's delivered or what's being delivered, and that's what goes, end quote. So it's a pretty, I mean, at least he answered it. Is there some BS in that? Of course, right? I don't see the difference in anybody. I don't see color. I don't see the difference between men and women. I mean, this is in his statement. That's bull, man. That's, are you oblivious? Because even subconsciously, we're taking note of everything we come across. We're taking, when you walk into a supermarket, you're taking inventory of what's a cantaloupe and what's a watermelon. Both delicious fruit. You want to handle them with the same care. You know, you don't want those things bruised at all before you get home and you devour them. But you know a cantaloupe and a watermelon. If you walk into Starbucks and you see a dwarf, right, you take notice of that. Nobody's telling you treat them any differently. But subconsciously, you take notice that there's a little person in front of you, right? Maybe you do have to be a little extra courteous. Maybe that individual is going to need some things done that are a little different or that you haven't thought about. Maybe you can help out, make it a little easier. But you take inventory of everything you come across. And, you know, race or nationality, things like that are no different because there's going to come times where you might have to be a little bit more sympathetic or think a little bit more about what you're saying and doing because of culture that is attached to a race or a nationality or such. I hope that makes sense, right? You have to be a little bit more mindful. Not everybody comes from the same neighborhood or home that you came from. So you always take inventory, not just when it benefits you or when it concerns you. You're always taking inventory of your surroundings and who and what you're around or within. So I always hated that reason. I don't see color. I know it comes from a good place, right? What we're trying to say, right? We as the human race, we're trying to say, no, we love everybody. We treat everybody with respect. We treat everybody with decency. We treat everybody the way we would like to be treated. Good, with grace and thought put behind it. That's obvious, of course. But then we say stupid things like, I don't see color. What? Come on, man. You have to be mindful of these things. Hopefully that makes sense because you are going to come across individuals, many that are going to want representation, especially in 2024. And I totally get it if you guys are just, you've had enough with that conversation, right? Enough. Not everything is about race. I totally agree, by the way. In 2024, I feel that we're trying to overcorrect the wrongs from years past, and we're trying to do it all in one swoop, right? It's like what we just talked about yesterday with Tony Khan. A lot of people think he's just given up because of the new TV deal. He doesn't have to worry anymore. But I feel the opposite. I feel he's always trying to do too much. I always felt that, I mean, he's got like 200 people on his roster. He's got more than just one promotion. It's more than just AEW. He's got more than just one show, Dynamite. He's got Rampage, Collision. This was all within 5 years. I feel Tony Khan tried to be WWE in 5 years. I feel Tony Khan tried to be WWE within 5 months. It took Vince McMahon decades to become WWE. And it's kind of like where we are in 2024 with like, you know, just how we treat diversity. It's like we're overcorrecting all of the wrongs, but we're doing it so quickly that it doesn't make sense, right? It's like everything has to be about race now. When if you look at like a pie chart in the US anyway, the most in terms of population is still white by approximately 60 some odd %, right? I think black was somewhere between like 10 and 15. Hispanic was maybe 15 to 20. I don't know. In post-edit, maybe I can put up one of the most recent charts, but I think Hispanic was around 15 to 20, black 10 to 15, Asian maybe 7 to 10. But my point is, if you look at like a pie chart, that's the makeup of the U.S., this country. So it's not realistic that like half of everything would just have half just black people, for instance, or half of, like if you have 10 matchups, 5 of them are not going to be with Asian competitors or black competitors or even Hispanic competitors, right? At least 6 to 7 more than likely will have white competitors, maybe even white on white for the majority. But yes, at some point you would think after 3 PLEs that with the black talent that WWE has, of course there would be somebody. Like, how do you lose somebody like Bobby Lashley? And Bobby says, I tried to work with Hunter, but it just didn't work. It didn't click. We just didn't have those conversations. How does Hunter not look at Bobby Lashley and go, damn, this guy, he's main event. You put him with MVP, you can't fail. Even Vincent Kennedy, as much as he booked Bobby wrong so much, but he did put him in main event status matchups. He did put the championships on him. And Bobby even said, with Vince, I knew where I stood at least, bad booking aside. With Hunter, he didn't even try to book him properly. And then you see somebody like Montez and you say, how is this guy not a breakout star right now? Montez is phenomenal. No pun intended to AJ Styles. But instead, he just kind of flounders around with somebody like Bobby Lashley, who's not getting any proper booking, told to sit at catering with Montez. And then when Bobby is kicked to the bricks, Montez continues to flounder in a non-existent tag division. Melo's whole thing was Melo don't miss. When he got to the roster, all he did was miss. Now he's in a bunch of different feuds, but getting nowhere. I don't know what they're doing with Melo. So you always hear like, the black superstars are getting time here, or these superstars are being booked. I mean, look at Bianca and Jade; they have championships, but they're not in the top spots. Hunter rarely puts the black talent in top spots. Rarely. I'm not saying it's never done. And because of that so often, that's why a lot of individuals are saying, hold on, can we talk about this? Because even though, okay, the country itself may be made up of 60 to 70% white, I mean, it's still nearly 15% black. You would think that after 3 PLEs, and with all the black talent that they do have, which is really good talent, you would think you'd be giving them some damn good storylines, enough to at least put one of them on a PLE. That's what they're... I mean, no matter what side of the aisle or spectrum you guys are on, I totally get it, man. Trust me. I'm just having the conversation. I'm not saying I'm leaning one way or the other. I can see why a lot of individuals are like, damn, man, where's our representation? I can also see why people have had enough of that, and they're like, enough. Not everything has to be about race, man. But at some point, Hunter does have to be mindful. You have really good black talent. Utilize them. Don't be afraid to put them in the top spots. They don't always have to be mingling around in the mid-card or in a tag team division or doing some weird things like Bianca and Jade. If there was an actual tag division, maybe that'd be different, right? If the tag division was meaningful. But I don't know if there's a tag division any more meaningful now than when Bayley and Sasha had those titles. So they try to check off all these boxes, but it's never really the top spots. So that's where a lot of people are at. That's why this conversation was sparked, just so you guys know. And on top of that, this was like the final straw that broke the camel's back, right? This was on a few other things that were being called out. Like MVP, nonstop, was talking about how Hunter and WWE, they just don't know how to book their black superstars. And he tried not to call out Hunter per se, but many times he insinuated that that's exactly who... Actually, he came right out and said, right? When people said Hunter, he said, you said it, not me. In other words, you hit it. So MVP came right out and talked about his frustrations with the lack of booking or proper booking for black talent in that company. And then the report that came out, right? There was a report, and I want to make sure I get this accurate. There was reports that those within WWE felt that Swerve's AEW deal is bad for business because it's above market value and bad for the sport. Because they feel that, oh, now every single black talent has to get a hefty deal. Look what you did, AEW. Like what? Like was that spectrum of the talent not supposed to get the most amount of money possible? So there was reports saying that what Swerve got, WWE totally scoffed at it and felt like AEW ruined things by giving Swerve that contract. So that's what I'm saying, guys. There was all these little things leading up to now people noticing, wait a second, all these PLEs are happening and there's no representation from other minorities. So that's, I guess, again, I haven't taken a tally every time there's a match on these PLEs, so I'm just telling you guys the conversation that's out there. But I totally understand, too, individuals just tired of talking about race, because I do feel we're trying to overcorrect all in one swoop in 2024. There's been this huge shift in society, and much of it for the good, trust me, I get it. But you're trying to correct years and even decades all in one swoop. You have to make sure you're doing it realistically, right? Like Hollywood has scared everybody into doing a production without like half its cast being minority. But if it doesn't call for it in the story, then these productions should not be penalized just because they didn't follow Hollywood's new law or rule, I should say. But they're scared into it. And there's all these remakes now. And that's the oddest thing, right? It's like you say, hey, have you ever seen this movie? And now you get which version, the white or the black version, because they're just doing everything just with they're recreating it with like a black cast or a black lead. And I don't see how that benefits anybody. Create something new and have that black lead. And then it stands on its own. But, these days you have Cinderella remade black. Who was that? Brandy, by the way? She's damn good. Brandy, you had Ariel. Is that Little Mermaid? I think that was done with a black individual. You even had the Karate Kid. I'm not even kidding. I didn't know this. I said, yeah, you saw the Karate Kid? And they started talking about a Karate Kid with a black kid. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? Ralph Macchio. No, that's not the Karate Kid. It was remade, apparently. I think, was that Will Smith's kid? Maybe it was Will Smith's kid. I don't know, but they redid the Karate Kid. The Wonder Years was a show I grew up on. They redid the Wonder Years with a black family. No joke, guys. Annie, remember little Annie, the little white girl with the red hair? She became black in the remake. I'm not even joking. They even made Jake from State Farm. Do you guys remember Jake from State? It's a nerdy character, right? Just a white dude with his little tucked in red shirt and his little Dockers, his tan Dockers. They made Jake black. Or they try to make him maybe like ethnically ambiguous. Is that what you call it? I'm telling you, commercials are scared shitless to have like a white family these days. If you watch commercials, most of them, if it's like a family dynamic, they're racially ambiguous, they call it. And it's like, it's mixed. It's a mixed family. So they totally try to like make it all ambiguous so nobody's offended. My point is, I get it, man. I totally get it if you're just tired of talking about race, because it's everything comes down to. And sometimes it's just not about race. I get it. But sometimes you have to be mindful of it, right? And when you do run a company like this and you have immense, awesome talent that are minorities in your company, and they could easily get top billing, and they don't time after time after time after time, you can't be shocked when individuals, fans, or those within the company are going, wait a second, something's not adding up, and it's called out. So I guess that's what I'm saying, man. But, we can never tell anybody how to really feel, because that's how they feel. And we can never tell anybody, especially if we are not them or what they are, how to feel, right? A lot of it, guys, is not even just like looking down at a race or anything. It's culture, right? We're just ignorant on others' cultures, and that's what it comes down to. So then people mislabel, right, the R word when they're just ignorant about the culture. So maybe they say something stupid or they do something stupid. They didn't even mean to, maybe, right? They didn't mean to offend you or the culture, but it happens based out of ignorance, because we were not raised, we were not brought up a certain way. Different household, different neighborhood, different nationality, different just culture. It comes down to culture a lot of times, and not knowing others' culture. And that's why you always have to be mindful of culture. Not saying you have to learn everything, but be mindful. And that's why you always have to take inventory of who you're around, right? Of course, treat with respect and decency and love and compassion and how you would want to be treated. No question. But you always have to be mindful. right? You can't just go, I don't see color. I don't see men and women. What do you mean you don't see what a men and a what? Again, we know what you're trying to say, but those are just blanketed answers, man. And that doesn't get it doesn't get anybody anywhere. It doesn't get any answers any more clear. So, just say, hey, I didn't know that, to be honest with you. I thought I'm putting my best product forward. I will be absolutely mindful of representation, but I just have to make sure that it has to call for it. I'm not just going to put minorities on a card just to appease, but I am absolutely going to take a second look and see what I can do to make it more inclusive for everybody. Maybe that's a good answer. I don't know. Maybe it's better than, I don't see color. I didn't know that. I don't know, guys. Listen, until next time, there will be that next time. SmackDown review, it's coming up in the morning. Make sure you're locked and loaded on the channel. Stay subscribed, notified. Channel membership is up too if you want to join the channel. Check a coffee at the PC in the unit every single month. That's cool, man. Never needed, but always shows another level of support, which I love seeing. So until next time, there will be that next time. BC in the unit saying check you.